Welcome to Am I Famous Yet? I'm Ivan. This is chapter 40 entitled Climbing the Same Mountain Every Day. The summary of my life looks something like the instructions on the back of a shampoo bottle. Procrastinate, work, sleep, repeat, ad infinitum. It's the curse of Sisyphus in a way. For all of my self-aggrandizing aspirations to be in show business, I am forced to climb the same mountain every single day. And though I may be able to roll the boulder quite far up the hill some days, less far other days, the next morning I have to start from base camp yet again. There is no summit. Even if there's a high peak, it does little more than afford me a view of the taller mountains around me. I enjoy my work. I like playing the bass. I love playing music. I dig what I do, but it can feel like a thankless job sometimes. Every day when I wake up, the hardest part is taking the first step. The distance to cover seems immense and undoable, even though I know intellectually that the way to climb mountains is one step at a time. Taking that first step feels like digging out of quicksand. Once I'm up and walking, everything is cool. I like working hard. I like accomplishing things. I like going places and seeing stuff. It's just that there's a cumulative after effect of those first painful steps. Some days, after an exhausting stretch of rushing from gig to gig after gig, traveling mile after mile of endless road, hoping against hope that I have shown up at the right gig on the right day with the right bass, the right charts, the right shirt, the right attitude, I just have to crash. I'll spend a day staring at a wall or a TV and doing nothing but scratching myself. Then I'll inevitably feel bad about accomplishing nothing, even though I know that recharging the batteries is part of the process. Here's a summertime social media post I wrote a little while ago. Quote, I'll be in seclusion today since I just finished a run of 15 gigs in 16 days with 10 different acts in 4 different states, New York, New Jersey, Rhode Island, and Connecticut, including live band rock and roll karaoke, multiple private party/wedding bands, American, Russian, and otherwise, a New Orleans piano band, a 14-year-old Broadway performers showcase, a funk band, a blues band, and a Motown tribute act. Make hay while the hot sun is shining. One must save up some nuts for the long winter's hibernation, end quote. I also find that I work better with deadlines. When I need to have something done by tomorrow, it gets done. When I need to have something done somewhere between 6 months from now and never, it might never get done. Writing this book is a prime example. Since I did it on my own without a deadline, it took forever. Sitting down to generate a couple of paragraphs on any given day felt like a giant hurdle to get over. There are nagging questions in the back of my head. Why am I writing this book? Who's going to read it? Who cares about any of this stuff? I don't have the answers. These fears are paralyzing, believe me. As he mentioned in the foreword to this book, I've explained to Stanley Clarke about my constant fear that I'll never work again, about how sitting still bothers me because I'm convinced the jig is up. They're finally onto me. I've been fooling them all these years and managed to somehow make a living at it. Stanley has told me that I do more gigs than anyone else he knows. He says that there's a name for my fear of the phone not ringing. It's called mental disease. He's right. I've talked to and worked with people at various levels of fame and obscurity throughout the industry. We all seem to have a tendency to be worried about what's next rather than focus on what we've just done. The money from the last gig has been spent already. Similarly, whatever bump up in the self-esteem we get from the shows has also been spent already. Playing a prestigious or high-profile gig can give you a good mental go-go juice for a couple of weeks, but if that next couple of weeks is spent sitting on the recliner at home, the esteem fades to black very quickly. The mountain has to be climbed again the very next day. There's no choice. A shark has to constantly keep swimming to keep from drowning. So must I continue to do whatever it is that I do, or surely perish. Since this planet is only really on temporary loan to us humans from the cockroaches and the slime molds, we must beat back the encroaching weeds every day just to keep our tiny part of the forest clear. Some days it's a joy. Other days it feels like a real chore. These existential dilemmas are fairly universal, but they can feel extremely localized to my psyche when I'm out on the road by myself staring at the ceiling of yet another in the long line of countless Bates motels. Even just getting myself up when I'm home, going for a run, and making some breakfast so that I can get started practicing or transcribing music for an upcoming gig feels daunting. The beneficial results of practicing a musical instrument manifest themselves very slowly over a long period of time. It's unusual to notice any improvement day to day, but after 6 months, you'll realize that certain things are easier to do than they once were. It's hard to keep that big picture view in focus all the time. Often it feels like 2 steps forward, 1 step back. I'm a better player than I was 5 or 10 years ago, even though I was a competent player back then. It's all part of the journey. Hopefully the journey itself is enjoyable for its own sake. I had an ex who was focused on the eventualities of her life and never on the current reality. She would always talk about how if she accomplished X, then she would be happy. If she could only go to destination Y, then she would be happy. She never really got to X or Y. Surprise, surprise. She never really seemed happy or content. Because of her negative example, I've tried to learn to enjoy the ride. It turns out that the journey really is the whole thing. The destination is nothing more than a turnaround point to head back home again. There's an old quote that people try to attribute to Confucius, but I'm pretty sure it's from the 1984 movie Buckaroo Banzai. Quote, "Remember, no matter where you go, there you are." End quote. To me, this simply means that there is no escape from one's inner demons. No change of venue can alter how you feel about yourself. Fame isn't contentment, fulfillment, or happiness. Fame is just notoriety and everything that comes with it, most of which is just a pain in the ass. Rolling the boulder up the hill is what it's all about. I've tried to pick out a nice rock I truly like and to put my shoulder into it.